Audience, wherever you are connecting from, welcome to our April session of our monthly leadership, personal development, entrepreneurship training sessions for people all over the world. Today, we are going to focus a bit more on educational scholarship opportunities, and we have two of the finest speakers in the field going to speak to us. I'll start by introducing the very first speaker. Then before we have a transition to the next speaker, I will do the introduction for the second speaker. Our first speaker is Freddie Bright. Freddie Bright needs no introduction, but we can probably have one or two people who are joining us for the first time. So I'll take you through his profile. So Freddie Bright is a man with humble beginnings. He has over a decade's experience in leadership and mentorship. Currently, he is a research scientist pursuing a doctoral degree in microbiology at the University of Basel in Switzerland. Freddie has been a recipient of several academic awards at different levels. He won an academic scholarship for his high school education at Adisadel College. At the University of Ghana, he was awarded a 4-year academic scholarship by Ariba Foundation, now MTN Ghana Foundation. This scholarship was aimed to assist Fred complete his bachelor's in biochemistry at the University of Ghana. A couple of years later, he won a prestigious Talo International Scholarship that enabled him to pursue a master's degree in biotechnology at Teesside University in the UK. I beg your pardon. Again, he was a postgraduate scholar in pediatric infectious diseases at the Yale University School of Medicine in the United States. He was also a guest scientist at the University Hospital Basel, and shortly after won a highly coveted Swiss Excellence Scholarship for his doctoral program. He is one of the leaders at Achievers Tribe. He is a firm believer in the fact that training a person who has a positive mindset and a drive to succeed can transform and maximize their raw potential into a great talent. So ladies and gentlemen, let's receive our first speaker, Fred Bright, to start the first session. So Fred, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hayfron Benjamin. Please, can you confirm if my voice is quite clear?
Yeah, that is excellent. Please go ahead, say.
Great. Good afternoon, good evening to the august participants in today's seminar. It's really a pleasure to be here and to share a few thoughts on the theme that we discussed, that we decided to have this event on for this month. As a matter of fact, this is one of the quarterly monthly seminar series, which is organized by Achievers Tribe, and all of you are warmly welcome. First of all, I think it's good that I appreciate the leadership of Achievers Tribe for this opportunity. And I highly commend them because they are really sensitive to the needs of the youth and students in general, and always create the platform that adds value to the life of these youth and students. So today I'm really excited to share a few ideas with the youth. So I think today we are blessed to have two amazing speakers, and I will just try to lay the foundation. The main idea today is that the presentations will be quite brief, because topics of this nature, when there is a lot of conversation and it's interactive, it helps participants actually bring out the problems they face in scholarship applications so that we can practically give ideas to them and help them how to overcome these shortcomings, as you would put it, or some of these barriers, so that they can actually progress and make good successes in their scholarship applications. So I have said that you need to position yourself to win in ways. Now, there are so many scholarships on the planet, a lot of them, hundreds, thousands of scholarships on the planet. And so this means that there are also so many strategies with which you can meander if you really want to win a scholarship. So the aim today basically is to lay the foundation blocks which should help us navigate through and be able to sift the most feasible and relevant scholarships that you desire to have. And also to get yourself with the right tools. In this case, the application pack is really, really important that you get it right so that you're able to ace a scholarship beautifully. Great. So education is a tool. I think a lot of participants on this platform are either in school or maybe out of school, are waiting to transition into the next phase of their lives. But I would imagine that a lot of people probably have different perceptions about what education really is. But I think that if you begin to see education as a tool, it's going to help us to navigate through this successfully. Because with education, you can do a lot, right? Fine, I agree that there's informal education, which is really great. You learn a lot of things from home. And there's also the formal education, a lot of things you cannot learn from home. And most importantly, it's the knowledge that you get that matters. And what knowledge does is that it gets you rooted in your field, and then it gives you mastery over your actions. So educating yourself or striving to go to the next level of your education your aim should be that you want to improve in your personal development, building skills such as critical thinking, communication skills, your ethical skills. I think that a lot of students really don't pay attention to some of these things. And so it's important that I highlight them. That if you are in a program, in an university, in doing your master's, in the high school, whichever level, whatever course you're reading, you should aim to be able to achieve these things, improve on yourself. And as you do that, obviously the returns are a lot more. You can progress really in your career, you can high job prospects, you position yourself to be able to compete globally as well. So really, there are a lot of limitations that probably are a setback to people and prevent them from pursuing their education or to the next level of their academic career. It could be lack of support, right? It could be family background or the society. It could also be failing systems. People pursue a certain course in the university or whichever level, and when they go into the world of work, they realize that really the positions that for which courses they studied and they think they are fit for, they rather see other people who studied a totally opposite course occupying those positions. And so it's a discouragement for people to really advance in their education. And also the mindset and general lack of interest sometimes really, and sometimes how it's rough, how the life of people who really have, people would claim to say are so academic, right, turns out. But of course, I want to put it to you today that there is certainly good in pushing your education to the next limit. And if it is due to lack of financial support and other limitations, I think the reason why we are talking about scholarships is great that you listen. So basically, I'll try to be brief so that I'll give the next speaker also the chance, and then we can have the Q&A and be interactive. All right, so what I would say is that scholarships are not for everyone. Scholarships are not for everyone. But scholarships are for people who show aptitude They are for people who show capacity, they are for people who show commitment, and they are for people who show determination. And you could get good grades or bad grades, but if you're able to show these things that I've outlined or I've mentioned, you increase your eligibility and to be able to attract a scholarship. Because I've known people who had third class in the university for their first degree, and they went on to actually win prestigious scholarships. And they are studying at top-notch institutions all over the world. So this is really possible, right? Also, it's interesting to know that the general acceptance rates of scholarships is usually around 7%. So which means that there's a lot of battle going on. And it is very essential that you position yourself critically to be able to navigate through the applications and be able to win a scholarship. It is often said that those who seek find. And so the big idea is search. Because if you want to apply for a scholarship, you need to search for it. If you sit idle that a scholarship should come to you, I am sorry. So you need to search thoroughly. But equally important is searching, having the right information at the back of your head. I think in Ghana, and if there are other people also joining us from different countries, a lot of times there are education fairs, right? In Ghana, for example, there's this UK education fair, US, Canada, etc., etc. And people should be able to take advantage of it. Attend these fairs, go and experience what the schools have to offer and get the right information that will be able to help you transition into the next phase. So as I zoom in, let me just give this quick tip to perhaps there are professionals who are not so really, want to pursue the academic, as we know, academic path per se. So there are different forms of scholarships, right? So if you're a professional, for example, if you're an accountant, you are maybe an engineer, and yeah, you still want to be in your job, right? But want to climb the ladder. One of the things is to explore the opportunities of maybe higher education with your employer or other scholarships with your employer. Because I know that there are some companies who will be able to in employee advancements, maybe give scholarships to their employees, and all they need to do probably is to serve a bond. So maybe the employee gives you a scholarship to study, say, your master's in the University of Ghana, and say, okay, because I've paid for this course for you in the next 5 years, you need to be working for this company. And I think it's a fair deal. So people should take opportunity of some of these engagements. You can also explore opportunities with professional associations. And also, let me say that there are a lot of online courses, a lot of free online courses these days, right? Which is very interesting. I mean, if we talk about LinkedIn Learning, the Open University, etc., there are a lot of them. So, and some of these are free, and the certificates are also recognized. So you need to take advantage of them. So if we take the Open University as an example, let me, Lisa. Yeah, I think you can see my pointer. So the Open University as an example, let's say, so if you go to the Open University website, right, you can see all their free courses. Please, can you see my screen? Now, I've gone to Open University. So can someone confirm? I've gone to their webpage.
Yes, Friday.
Okay, great. So you can see some of the
we're able to see.
Great. So you can see some of the free courses, right? So for example, you want to learn something about money and business, you can click, right? And you see all the modules that they have. Example, collective leadership, right? When you click on it, it takes you to the course content, course description, and all that you can see. And these are free courses that I think we need to encourage people to take advantage of. Great. So moving on, as I said, there are different forms of scholarships, and knowing what each scholarship targets is very important in your scholarship application or your scholarship search and eventual application. So I would start off by saying there are certain scholarships that are group-based scholarships. So these could be some of the gender scholarships that we probably have heard of, right? So for example, women in STEM scholarships. There are also international fellowships for women. Another example would be scholarships that are categorized as minority group scholarships. So these are some kind of scholarships which are group-based. Interesting enough, we also have the athletics-based scholarships. So there could be some students who probably are not so academically at the top there, right? But their talent can speak for them. I believe in the US, for example, this athletic scholarship is really huge, right? That they're able to fish a lot of talent and grant them scholarships for them to study in the US while they also pursue the athletics. It could be soccer, it could be running, hurdles, whatever. There are also other forms of scholarship which are leadership-based scholarships. A typical example is the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and I would encourage people to, if you think you're a leader and you have something to prove, the impact you've made in your community, you should look at the Mandela Washington program. I think they offer about 1,000 scholarships to people of sub-Saharan descent to take up scholarship roles in the United States. And also we have needs-based scholarships. So these are basically targeted at low-income families, low-income countries. And so in your search for scholarships, you may see that these are scholarships for sub-Saharan Africa. These are scholarships for maybe Pacific Asia, et cetera, because it is believed that these are developing countries, right? And so maybe students from these countries need to be given the opportunity to study. And the main overriding category is the merit-based scholarship, which is purely based on academic performance, and sometimes could also be based on extracurricular activities. But I want you to understand that in all of these categories, the main classifier or the main deciding factor is merit. So if it's a scholarship for women, it does not just mean that because you're a woman, you get it automatically. You need to compete and get it. If you're an athlete, you need to compete. If you're a leader, you need to compete. So the overriding classifier for this group is that everything is based on merit. Are we good? All right. So basically, with the types of scholarships, so you could have a partial scholarship or a full scholarship. And so these scholarships could either be in your home country or it can sponsor you abroad to a different country to study. In recent times, you also have the hybrid form of scholarship where you could take partly in your home country and then maybe go abroad for within certain periods and then come back. And I think this is usually common with the research scholarships. So we need to understand these forms of scholarship. Some people, maybe because of family, maybe they are raising family, they don't want to travel abroad, right? So if you can apply for certain scholarships that are required that you are a resident in your home country, you can get it. Or if you want to travel abroad, you could also do that. So basically, you need to know what you want. You need to know what type of scholarship suits you. Then moving on, I've said that, in these times, a lot of students prefer to study abroad. So they sort of prefer the scholarships. Okay, so before I move on to that slide, actually, so I've said that we have certain packages, right, with scholarships. The main thing is tuition, right? So tuition is huge here. Some scholarship give tuition and give stipend, right? And maybe don't give these. Some scholarship could also give tuition, stipend, travel grants, and health insurance. So depending on where you find yourself, or where the scholarship is, or in which country the scholarship is, there are certain basic things. For example, when I was in the University of Ghana and I won the Ariba scholarship, I was given, I had a tuition paid, and I had I think my whole, how do you call it? Is it a whole dues or whole accommodation? Yes, accommodation paid in the first and final years, because in those days it was, I think if I remember correctly, it was in, out, in, right? So for those of you who understand the Ghanaian terminology, in means in the first year you have accommodation, second year you're out, third year you're out, and then fourth year you get accommodation again. So they paid for that. All right. And what are some of the reasons why people prefer to study abroad or want to take on scholarships that would enable them to travel? So basically, one, travel opportunities. Yeah, and when you have stipends being given to you abroad, it's good remuneration, right? Sometimes the quality and style of education is also great. In general, people also want to experience a new culture. Also career opportunities. And for me, one of the most important is expanding your global connections. It doesn't mean that you cannot expand your global connections while you're in Ghana. This simply means you are physically there in that country. So for example, if you're in Germany, you are there. So it's easy to make and create contacts and connections, and that will be a valuable tool for you later. So moving on, I have listed some, for those of you in Ghana, and I believe those outside Ghana, some of these apply to you as well. Some of the local institutions from which you can get scholarships. So number one is the Get Fund, which offers local scholarships and foreign scholarships. So you need to be able to know what they offer and see if you stand a chance and apply. Again, is the Scholarship Secretariat, which also offers local and bilateral scholarships. I think they have some sort of engagement with different countries. And so every year, Ghanaian students travel abroad to study, which is really, really great. And then academic institutions in Ghana. This is very important. Some of these university institutions have also bilateral engagement with other universities across the world. So really, you could be a student, say, in your University of Cape Coast, and because you don't care about scholarship, you never know what is happening. But if you care about scholarships, you can go to the International Program Office and find out what scholarships they have. There are also sometimes summer fellowships, and some of these opportunities, I think that you need to be able to take advantage of them. One other important thing too is that most of these universities have financial aid office. So basically, if you want a scholarship, it means that you want someone to offer to pay for your education, right? So if you really have a lack of financial support from your background, your home, I think it's appropriate you approach the financial aid office, and they have different sets of scholarships that are given to students to be able to complete their studies successfully. Another type of group is the corporate institutions. So for me, in University of Ghana, I had a Ariba scholarship, which is now the MTN Ghana Foundation for 4 years. So I think it's something they still do, which is highly commendable. Other forms of scholarship also from GMPC, and a lot of these corporate institutions, because they really realize the potential of investing in the education of students. And for my master's degree in the UK, I was sponsored by Tallow Oil in the UK. So Tallow Oil is based in Ghana, right? It's a UK company, but they are based in Ghana. And at the time that they opened up this scholarship scheme for for students all over Ghana to apply. I applied for it, went through a very rigorous screening session. I think it lasted for about 3 months or so. And in the end, I was able to win one of these scholarships. So even though it's an institution in Ghana, they're able to sponsor students outside of the country to study. And one other, this list actually is not exhaustive. So area students, I would encourage students to check out is the foreign embassies in Ghana. These embassies are loaded with opportunities. The thing is, if you don't find out, you would not know, right? So the embassies, a lot of embassies are in Ghana, which offer opportunities, educational opportunities. Some of these opportunities or these scholarships are in conjunction with the scholarship secretariat, but others are also quite independent. So you need to be able to know from these embassies, some of the scholarships they offer, and check them out, and then you apply. All right, great. One other scholarship maybe group I should mention is crowdfunding campaigns. So in recent times, thanks to social media, you'd realize that people do well in their WASI exceptionally, and then they don't have money to go to the university, and then people see their story, they put it up on social media, and people are able to mobilize money to sponsor them. It's a form of scholarship, I must say. And last but not least, this is one very powerful kind of scholarship. It's called the supervisor recommendation, or I would call it the silent scholarship. So this is basically, maybe you're a student and you're working with a supervisor. Your supervisor has collaborations with other professors, maybe outside of Ghana, US, wherever, right? And maybe as part of this collaboration, they want to exchange ideas. So the supervisor from abroad could say, hey, send me your student, or vice versa. And I think that in most of these supervisor recommendations, the acceptance rate is really high. It's really high that your supervisor would recommend you to the professor outside, and he would say no, unless your family people are really strong. Yeah. But it's a very powerful form of scholarships. I think I was fortunate that my fellowship at Yale University was through this kind of scholarship. And so I would encourage you, if you're a student, you should have a very good relationship with your supervisors, because yeah, some of these things come by, and then you might just be lucky to get it. Great. So moving on, I've said that, so let's look at some international institutions. So I've talked about some local institutions in Ghana, and I believe if elsewhere, maybe people also tuning in from other countries, there are these kind of institutions in your home country from which you can benefit from. But let's look at some of the international institutions. So an example is the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships, the Fulbright, that, in fact, this list is endless. You can just go to Google and type, and you can see a very tall list of various scholarships that are offered. But of course, I said in the beginning that you must know the target group of these scholarships, right? So if you check the target groups of these scholarships, and maybe, for example, DAD scholarships, you go there, you see a school in Germany, you see their target group, what they are looking for, and you don't fit, please don't worry yourself to apply. If you really know you don't fit, don't worry yourself to apply, because you get bounced every time. And then so really, you would see these scholarships on different websites, but the onus lies on you to really delve in deeper and know what is the requirements. So maybe I share maybe two examples. Let's go to Commonwealth Shared scholarships as an example. These are scholarships that are fulfilled in the United Kingdom. So if you go to their webpage, right, all the information is there. All the information is there, right? How to apply. If you click it, it gives you a lot of things. View list of approved courses. View details of participating UK universities. You can see candidate eligibility, and it will give you all the information. All right. Let's see, eligible countries. So you can see, right? So it tells you, oh, luckily we have Ghana here. You can see, right? So it tells you, oh, okay, so Ghana is there. I stand a chance. But look at the tall list of countries. Maybe perhaps this is about 50 countries or so. So this should tell you that the competition is very, very high. It's very tough. And for which reason I'm happy that you're on this platform, because my next speaker will delve deeper and help you to be able to put together a very, very solid application to navigate through some of these difficulties. But indeed, what I want to highlight is that getting into these, getting this information and getting the nitty-gritty of these scholarships is very essential. They talk about the selection process, right? And so you would know what to expect. So it's not that, okay, there's a scholarship, let me apply. There's a scholarship, let me apply. You'll be frustrated. So you should know the target group, know the eligibility, right? And see if you qualify, then you begin the process. Another scholarship is, say, the MasterCard Foundation. Let's go to the MasterCard Foundation. This is the Scholars Program. Okay, so over here, they have how to apply to the Scholars Program. Let's click on it and see. So it tells you, okay, so how to apply to the Scholars Program. If you go down, undergraduate studies. So it's even broken it down to undergraduate studies. Some of the universities where the MasterCard Foundation can sponsor your undergraduate studies, right? So let's say Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Let's click it as an example. Then it says visit site. So I'm sure it's going to take us to, yes, it's going to take us to KNUST website for MasterCard, right? And tell us so program areas, right? And then it can give you all the details that you need to be able to apply for the scholarship. So essentially, this is very important that if you hear of a scholarship, just know what it entails. I've also listed here a few portals which you could visit, because these portals are quite good. They sort of fish out scholarships, put it on their websites, and for you to have easy access and to really know what is going on. So you can check them out. Actually, if you Google these, you can also find a lot of such websites on the internet. One of the few of them I would recommend as what I've actually put here. Also, this website, find a PhD. If you're here, you're done with your master's or even with an undergraduate degree, do you know that you can actually do a PhD without necessarily having a master's? So there are all these sort of scholarships that outline these kind of procedures and how to actually apply. Findamasters.com. You can go there, see various scholarships, programs that are organized by, offered by different universities, and you should be able to apply. So maybe let me take one example. Let's say Scholars for Development. Let's see what we can find. Okay, so Scholars for Development. So if we go on their webpage, there are a lot of Australia Award Scholarship, University in Paris, right? IOE Centenary Doctoral Scholarships, a lot of Edinburgh Global Online Distance Learning Scholarships, DAD scholarships. So really, there are a lot of information out there. So for example, we see Australia Award Scholarship. Let's see what happens if we click on it. So it begins to give you the details of what these scholarships entails, right? So for bachelor's, master's degree, PhD. And then if you go down, you see target group. Target group, citizens of one of the participating countries in Asia, Pacific, Africa, Middle East, etc. Then it says list of participating countries. So if we click on it, let's see if Ghana is there. So there's Africa. We click on Africa. Oh, Ghana. Okay, so there are actually a lot of African countries here as well. So ideally, the highlight of this, or what I'm trying to point out, is that it's very, very important that you navigate the information very well, and that should be able to help you to apply. Let me quickly try to round this up because of time. But the most important thing is, whatever scholarship you see on websites, try to go to the source, get to the source, and be able to apply from there. And it is very important. I cannot end without saying or talking about scams, because whatever good thing is out there, there are also equally guys doing bad things, right? I think recently we had some students who were almost scammed into paying huge sums for some fake scholarships. And so you need to be aware of these. And I found a few tips from this website. Is that one of these scams are unsolicited offers. So you may be there and you just receive an email. You've not even applied for any scholarship, but already you get an email that there's a scholarship for you. You need to start suspecting such, right? Fee requests. What is the main aim of a scholarship? Is offering support for the student to be able to study. So if you get some of these requests that are demanding that you should pay money, and this event I was talking about, the student nearly transferred money into someone's account. And it's interesting, some of these scammers are so good that you might click. Sometimes you find certain links on the website, you click on it thinking it's taking you to the original source where the information is coming from. It might be a good advertisement, but some way, somehow, these links redirect you to scammers' website, and you need to be really careful about these. And some of them talk about limited time offer. If you don't pay, it's going to be given to other people, etc., etc. So please be aware of scammers. It's very real, and it can really be worrisome that I mean, already you want a scholarship, but someone is asking to pay monies, and then you get defrauded. But please don't misunderstand this, because some of these international scholarships, they can offer you all the scholarships, all right. But as part of you traveling to those countries, you need to maybe process your visa application. And that means you have to pay for that. Some scholarships pay entirely for everything, but others, they give you the scholarship, but you need to take care of the visa application process. So just know the distinction. And before I finish, I think about the last slide or so, the basic documents that you need. If you are interested in applying for scholarships, the basic documents, you need to get your certificate ready, your transcripts, your essays. I'm sure Dr. Banda is going to throw more light on this. Your essay is really, really important. Your CV, your references. As a student, you do not wait that before you get a scholarship, before you start worrying your supervisors for references. Already, before you start this journey, you need to preempt them so that they have you in mind, right? Some other scholarships demand certain exams to be written, such as in graduate school in the US, a lot of schools need a GRE, GMAT. I think in these days, I've heard that some of the GRE is waived. Some institutions also require the TOEFL and all of that. So you need to know really what requirements is needed. And a cool advice is that if you have your documents, scan them and keep them, because you may never know. And if you're a student and you're interested in a scholarship abroad, it's a pity that I've met some students who are interested in studying abroad and they don't even have a passport. It's a pity. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? You want to study abroad, yet you don't have a passport. And you can be, if you are frank, you know that even the passport application process can be a problem. So please get these things so that you can focus on the main thing. Okay. Okay. So the most important thing is strategy. And with this, I think our next speaker would take us into detail. To conclude, your first 10 applications may result in 0 successes. Your first 10 applications, but that doesn't mean you should stop there. This means that if you don't improve your application, your next 30 applications will result in 0 results or 0 successes. And if you are shortlisted for the first 10 applications, this is a good sign and you need to build on it. You might not win it, but it's a good sign that you build on this. So with this, I'd like to thank you so much for your attention. And I hand over to Dr. Charles. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Many thanks, Fred. Excellent presentation. I am not surprised. I've had the opportunity to listen to many experts in the field of educational scholarships, and I can say with confidence that Fred is one of the best in the world. I'm not surprised. So thanks a lot, Fred. The strategy is that we are going to have the second speaker. Then after the second speaker, then we can now take the Q&A. So there are two options. You can just type your questions in the chat box for now. I'll compile everything. We also had some few expectations and questions before we started the event. Some of you put in some few questions in your registration. I'm going to read everything out. So that is it. So thanks again, Fred, for this wonderful, world-class, excellent presentation.